Alright, today we're going to review how to add and subtract rational numbers being fractions. So we're going to start adding and subtracting fractions, so fractions with the same denominator. So if we start with 3/5 plus 1/5, if we have the same denominator adding and subtracting, it's very simple. If we remember, we keep the same denominator, fifths, and we add the numerators, so 3 plus 1. So we take 3 plus 1 over 5, we simplify to 4/5. There's no way we can reduce any further, so we leave it just as is, 4/5. We don't change it to a decimal. If it's given to you as a fraction, it stays as a fraction. We do not convert things to decimal unless we are given decimal. There will only be a few occasions this year where we'll ever put things in decimal form. For right now, it's starting as a fraction, so we're going to keep it as a fraction. Let's look at our next example. Let's say that we have 7/16 minus 1/16. With subtraction with the same denominator, it's the same thing. We keep the same denominator and we subtract the numerators. So 7 minus 1 over 16, that becomes 6 over 16. Now, we can reduce, so we will reduce. If we have 6 over 16, we can divide both the numerator and the denominator by 2, so we will be left with 3/8 as our final answer. So we subtracted, we simplified, we reduced. Let's look at one more. Let's say that we have 4/9 minus 7/9. 4/9 minus 7/9. So, since we have the same denominator, we keep the same denominator, and then we subtract our numerators. So 4 minus 7. When we do 4 minus 7, we're going to be left with -3 over 9. That's okay. Negative integers are okay. We can do that. It's okay. So we have -3 over 9. What we're going to do is we're then going to reduce. We can divide both by 3, and we're left with -1/3. Now, in the event that we have unlike fractions, if we are going to add and subtract unlike fractions. So let's say that we have 1/2 plus 2/3. If we have 1/2 plus 2/3, we need to find what's called the common denominator. A common denominator, we're going to find the least common denominator of 2 and 3, so the LCD between 2 and 3, that's going to be 6. Oftentimes it's going to be multiplying the denominators by each other, so 2 times 3 to get 6. And we're going to start by renaming each of these fractions. So we're going to put it in terms of 6's. So 1/2 in terms of 6, we're going to multiply this by 3 and multiply that by 3, so we'll have 3/6. And then we are going to take 2/3. We're going to take 2/3 and we're going to multiply that by 2 to get to 6. So 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 2 we get 4. So in that case, then we have the same denominator. So we have over 6, we have 3 plus 4, which means we'll be left with 7/6. Now I know this may seem strange, but we are going to keep that improper fraction. Further down the line, it's going to be much easier if we keep things as 7/6, as a large one numerator over a denominator, instead of getting into this mixed fraction stuff. So in your homework, you will see some mixed fractions, and in a bit I'll show you how to convert that to a improper fraction. But let's do some more examples. So if we look and we do 3/8 minus 1/3. Again, as I said, a for sure common denominator, not always the least, but a for sure common denominator is multiplying the denominators by each other. In this case, that is the least common denominator of 24. If you're having problems finding the least common denominator, we can work on that in class. Make sure you bring it up and we can solve how to find the least common denominator. But if we have 3/8 minus 1/3, and we're going to rewrite each of them in terms of 24ths, we're going to multiply 3/8, the numerator and the denominator, by 3, so we get 9 24ths. We're going to multiply 1/3, each of those, by 8, so we get 8 24ths. So then when we combine into one fraction, we have 9 minus 8 over 24, which is 1 24th. All right, let's look at one more example. If we have 2/5 minus 3/4, our least common denominator, 5 times 4, that's going to be 20. We're going to multiply 2/5 to get to 20. We're going to multiply each by 4. So that's going to be 8 20ths. We're going to multiply each of these by 5, so minus 15 20ths. We're going to put it all over one denominator, so 8 minus 15 20ths. That's going to be negative 7 20ths as our final answer. Now, in the event that you have a mixed number, actually, in your homework tonight, you're lucky. You don't have any mixed numbers. Your homework tonight in your iBook is going to be page 29, 11 through 25. Page 29, 11 through 25. So we start with number 11, which is going to be 2/5 plus 1/5. Remember, we combine to say 2 plus 1 over 5 makes 3/5. We always check to reduce. Don't forget to check to reduce. We skip a line. We go to number 12. Let me make my box a little smaller so I can save one line. Number 12, we write that. 3/9 plus 4/9. And away we go.